Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dazzling Dave, and with there being no Premier League for the foreseeable future and the German Bundesliga kicking off again this weekend, I thought, if you're a Premier League fan, what team should you be following and maybe starting a beautiful relationship with in the Bundesliga? So whether you're from Manchester City to Wolverhampton Wanderers, from Dortmund to Dusseldorf, I'm going to point out what team you should potentially be following in the German Bundesliga. So first off, got a recommendation for Norwich fans, and that is the team of Paderborn. It's their first season back in the German Bundesliga, and it does look like they will be going straight back down. They've got the kind of the nickname is the elevator side in the Bundesliga, which basically, because they've been up and down 5 out of the last 6 seasons, so their blood pressure is pretty high. Obviously, they still have hopes of escaping relegation, a bit like Norwich. So maybe that's the team Norwich fans should gravitate towards. So if you're a fan of Aston Villa, one side that might be very much similar to your heart is that of Werder Bremen. It wasn't that long ago that they were pushing the top end of the table. In fact, in 2010 they finished second in the league, but this term, despite having an enormously talented squad, they're struggling a bit like Villa to stay up. Now, I've got a bit of an affinity myself with Werder Bremen because many years ago I actually was over in Germany, in Bremen, and I managed to actually go and visit the Werder Bremen ground, so I do hope that they stay up in the Bundesliga. But Villa, put your cards with them, similar sort of situation. So, fans of Bournemouth play some decent football. They've got the smallest ground in the Premier League, and every year their minimum aim is to survive in the Premier League, and they've done a great job at doing that. And basically, I would suggest that you guys look at Dusseldorf. You know, it's only the second time that Dusseldorf have been in the top flight of the Bundesliga since 1980, and they're very much trying to survive in that division. So Bournemouth fans, go check out and get behind Dusseldorf. So if you're a fan of the Hammers, West Ham, I would suggest you take a look at Mainz, I hope I've said that right. Basically, they've got one of your players, Fernandez, on loan with them at the moment, but the similarities run a lot deeper than that. West Ham and Mainz have both had massive changes in the summer. In fact, West Ham brought in 8 players, Mainz have brought in 11, and it hasn't gone that great for both of them. But West Ham fans can probably feel a little bit better with where they are in the table at the moment, because Mainz are literally only 4 points above the relegation zone at the moment. So any Hammers fans feeling very underwhelmed this season, you'll feel right at home with them. So Southampton fans have been very familiar to flirting with relegation in the last few years, and that's something that the fans of Augsburg in Germany will also be able to relate to, and they're there once again now, which probably should be reassuring for Saints fans. They've had a bad start with a recovery and had a little bit of ropey form, and they've got their own version of Danny Ings, which I can't really pronounce his name, but I'm going to have a go. Florian Niederchinder is 29, and he's been banging the goals in for them. So yeah, Southampton, look at Augsburg. So, if you're a Watford fan, I've got just the team for you to take a look at, and that is Hertha Berlin. Why? Well, they've been back in the big time, pretty much the same sort of time as Watford, and they do tend to chop and change their managers if you have a look at that. So Watford fans, take a look at getting behind Hertha Berlin. So Tottenham Hotspur fans, the team you need to look out for, and I'll give you the reasons why, is that of Frankfurt. Basically, they lived and enjoyed the European dream in the 2018-19 season and are having a little bit of a hangover themselves this year, meaning they're struggling potentially to qualify for Europe again this season. For that reason, you know, and also the fact that they've lost players to injury, key players like, you know, Kane and Son for Tottenham, is the reason why I'm recommending Tottenham fans go and have a look at Frankfurt. Now, if you're a fan of Sheffield United, the Blades are having a fantastic season. Got just the team for you. I never even heard of these. Union Berlin, they are called. Union Berlin's top flight status is incredibly rare. In fact, it's their first season ever in the top flight of the Bundesliga, and they were odds-on favourites to go down. Well, a bit like Sheffield United, they're having a fantastic season. They even beat Dortmund 3-1, a little bit like the win that Sheffield United had over Arsenal in October, and they're definitely not going to be relegated. Having a fantastic season. So fans of Sheffield United, go check out Union Berlin. So if you're a Newcastle fan, I would take a look at Cologne. It wasn't that long ago that Cologne were just finishing just outside the Champions League places, and then a little bit like Newcastle, got relegated. Now back in the big time again. They did have a really poor start to the season, but a good run of form has seen them moving up to the table. So yeah, Newcastle fans, take a look at Cologne. Crystal Palace, the most consistently inconsistent team in the Premier League, capable of beating anyone on the day and then losing to anyone on their day as well. And the reason I'm going to pick this team is Hoffenheim, and that's because they're very, very similar to Palace in the fact they've pulled up amazing results this season, beating Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund and Bayer Leverkusen, but their lack of consistency has dropped them down, losing to teams you wouldn't expect. So I'm going to suggest Eagles fans, you go and check out Hoffenheim and maybe give them a bit of love, because they are very, very similar to you and are capable on the day of beating anybody. Burnley fans can be rightly proud of their achievements on a very limited budget. With Sean Dyche's well-drilled, direct style of play, they've consistently performed well in the Premier League, in fact qualifying for Europe. Freiburg in Germany is probably the team best suited in similar to Burnley. It's their fourth straight season in the Bundesliga. They finished 13th last season, and this season again are pushing potentially for a European place. Just swap the Pennines for the Black Forest, and Burnley fans, you'll be right at home. The next one I've got a little bit torn with, really. It's this is for Everton and it's Wolfsburg, but as a Wolves fan and it being Wolfsburg and then being 7th, I'm kind of drawn to them a little bit myself, as you would expect. But the reason I'm saying for Everton fans to look at it is that Wolfsburg are teetering on the edge again of European qualification with a new man at the helm on the back of an up and down season. A bit like Everton with Carlo Ancelotti, they're looking upwards to try and qualify for Europe. But as I say, being a Wolves fan, I'm kind of a little bit drawn to them as well with the Wolf the position. But I'm going to recommend that also, as I say, for Everton fans to go and have a look at and get behind Wolfsburg. So for Arsenal fans, take a look at Schalke. They're a team that's normally accustomed to fighting for the title rather than for European qualification. And they've had a new guy that's come in, David Wagner, yeah, that one that's really turned them around, energised them and got them going in one way. A little bit like at Arsenal with Mikel Arteta pushing for that European place. So yeah, for those reasons, I'm thinking Schalke, Arsenal, bit of a perfect fit, and I think you should give them a look. So, fans of Manchester United, after a couple of years in the wilderness, Bayer Leverkusen are looking to get back amongst the best teams in the division. Peter Bosz, he actually guided them to the Champions League return last season, and basically thanks to a great second half of the season. They don't quite have the trophy cabinet that Manchester United, so a bit like United, they've sort of been in the wilderness a little bit since their glory days of a few years ago. More similar to life in Manchester has been their climb up the table in recent months after a poor start to this campaign. So for Wolves fans, obviously being a Wolves fan myself, I did mention Wolfsburg, but I've got the perfect team as well that we can really look at being very, very similar to Wolves, and that is Borussia Mönchengladbach. They qualified for the Europa League last season and now proving that lightning can strike twice and are pushing for a Champions League spot, very similar to Wolves. They've got pace and trickery in the shape of Alonso Plea and Marcus Thuram, a bit similar to the pace that Wolves have up front with Diogo Jota and Adama Traore. And Mönchengladbach have not lifted a major trophy since 1977. Wolves, obviously, a couple of years later. The parallels are very, very similar, with a team with a great history and a bright future. Mönchengladbach is the one that you definitely need to have a look at, other than Wolfsburg, for Wolves fans. So I've also picked one out for Leicester, and that would be RB Leipzig. They haven't enjoyed that much time at the top in recent years, albeit in much different circuses, but there's plenty of notes that Leicester and RB Leipzig could still share. So fans of Manchester City, I'm going to go with Bayern Munich. They've got strength in depth. They could put out two teams, a bit like Manchester City. And in recent years, they have looked unstoppable. But unlike Manchester City this season, with Liverpool running away with the league and City stumbling, they're there again leading the way. But for those reasons, because they've got such a star-spangled team with so much depth, I'm going to suggest Manchester City. You do go with Bayern Munich. Obviously, finally, Liverpool. It has to be, doesn't it, Borussia Dortmund? Yeah, of course, Liverpool, Dortmund, the clock factor, the connection between both clubs runs a lot deeper than that, though. Liverpool last season were chasing their first league title for many, many years, and were denied on the last day in similar fashion to that of Dortmund. Near misses and hopes of getting back to the top are feelings that both Liverpool and Dortmund fans can share in abundance, albeit that the Reds look a lot more likely to manage that other than their German counterparts, with Liverpool being so far ahead in the table. Liverpool obviously accustomed to watching goals flying, and so are Dortmund. I do quite like Dortmund, actually, myself personally. I love seeing the grounds and the colour and the flags. So yeah, you know, it'd be nice to see Dortmund give Bayern Munich a run for their money. I hope you've enjoyed this and you're going to watch some of the Bundesliga. I've recommended a few teams. Doesn't matter what team that you support, I've just come up with a few why you should. Let me know in the comments below what team you're going to be following and supporting in the Bundesliga whilst we've got no Premier League for the foreseeable future, and maybe you'll find a new love to support. As I say, myself personally, I'm a little bit torn between Wolfsburg and Mönchengladbach, and I do quite like a bit of Dortmund, so I will sit back, enjoy it, and just get behind, you know, definitely Mönchengladbach and Wolfsburg, and I hope that Dortmund can win the title. So from myself and Dazzling Dave, let me know, as I say, your thoughts below. If you're brand new around here, please consider subscribing. Hit the bell notification because you'll always be first to be notified of any of my uploads. Until the next one, all the best, stay safe, and I'll hopefully see you soon.